It's not as simple as it seems when looking at the latest 2.0 banners, and this is the best time to investigate the whole situation. So there's this idea that's been going around the community that the 2.0 banners are kind of simple to figure out. Sparkle is expected to be an insane meta unit, while Black Swan is just someone you could pull for if you're building a DOT team. And while there is some truth to this, there's actually quite a few things that people might have missed, and this could change your perspective on the whole situation. So first of all, let's talk about Sparkle. Why is everyone so hyped about her? Well, to put it simply, she's a quantum harmony unit, and her biggest selling point is that she can increase and restore skill points. We can see from the livestream that she increases the maximum cap of skill points to 7, and when she uses her ultimate, she restores 4, yes, 4 skill points. That's insane if you think about it, because this will solve so many issues with characters who are skill point hungry. Few that come to mind immediately would be Imbibitor Lune Danheng and QQ. Both of them can dish out insane damage, especially Imbibitor Lune. But the problem with him is that often you will have turns where he just does his basic attack because he doesn't have 3 skill points available to do the best version of it. But if that's not enough, Sparkle borrows a broken ability from Bronya, where she will advance forward teammates' turn and even buff them with crit damage. We can clearly see the crit damage icon appear when she uses her skill on Fushuan, so yeah, a skill point generating machine that can also manipulate turn order and provide crit damage buff? Pretty insane. Now, you might be thinking, does this mean Bronya is getting power creep? Not really. First of all, we can see that the turn advance she does with the skill is not the same as Bronya's. So we have to assume it's not the same as Bronya's, simply granting an ally extra action to take. The other big thing that Bronya has is that her skill can dispel a debuff, which is super crucial in many scenarios, especially when there are debuffs that prevent your main damage dealer from taking a turn. To me, Sparkle is an addition to Bronya, not a replacement. In fact, I think they might work well together, depending on how you build their speed and how much Sparkle's skill can actually advance forward allies' action. Because there could be some cases where you might make your hyper carry take 2 turns in a row, thanks to Sparkle's and then Bronya's skill. It's kinda amazing if you think about it. Now, another huge thing about her is that we might finally get to see Mono Quantum's true potential. As of now, going double sustained Mono Quantum with Lynx and Fushuan is a bit too much. And the only missing piece of the puzzle to actually enable its true potential would be Sparkle. You see, whether you decide to go with Sela, QQ, or Shui, all of them need Silverwolf, and then a sustain unit to function really well, while the last teammate should be someone that can ideally provide strong buffs and help fix some of the problems. The biggest one being skill point consumption, since Silverwolf and any of the DPS quantum units really want to use their skills as often as possible. So without much surprise, Sparkle is going to provide that oomph this team archetype has needed for a long time. And while I don't think this team will be absolutely broken, I can almost guarantee it will be able to tackle any type of content, and you won't need to think about enemy weaknesses for a long time. Well, at least when you're using Mono Quantum. But with that being said, I don't want to leave you with this impression that Sparkle is a must-pull. I think that even if her values turn out to be average, the amount of boosting she provides is already on another level. But at the same time, there are so many viable teams you can build in this game, so you shouldn't feel the pressure to pull for her, and just make sure you actually enjoy the game instead of chasing around the meta. But yeah, overall, Sparkle is quite an interesting character, and while someone like Hania was able to slightly manipulate skill points, adding a unit into the game that just straight up increases the maximum cap and restores SP is quite shocking to see when the game hasn't been out for even a year. And it just makes me wonder what future units we'll have in store. So after all this talk about Sparkle, you might be wondering, what about Black Swan? She's also a new 2.0 unit that's coming out. Well, her case is a bit different here. You see, she's basically a premium DOT 5-star unit, and she's really just a niche pool if you're interested in further empowering your damage over time comps. However, it does look like that she brings quite an interesting mechanic into the fight, and it's the Arcana debuff stack. From what I understand, since Kafka can detonate it with her talents, and we can see from the footage it deals wind damage, it's most likely going to be treated as wind shear DOT, while at the same time possesses unique properties that define her Arcana debuff. But what really surprised me though was how many Arcana stacks you can build on enemies. We can see from the footage that there's 16 stacks, and there doesn't seem to be the end of it. And there's many ways she can apply Arcana. Her technique seems to bounce around or basically keeps applying this DOT for a set amount of times when the fight starts. And then we can also see her basic attack, and even the skill can apply it as well. What's even crazier, we can see that her skill applies defense reduction. So this immediately makes me think of the free-to-play light cone before the tutorial mission starts, and how good it's going to be for her. I mean, energy restoration for faster ultimate, and extra hit rate in case she needs it? Don't mind if I do. Still, it does seem like she's not going to be a unit that has a ton of front-loaded damage. Those who pull for her will need to figure out the ideal way how to build up those Arcana stacks fast. Obviously, having Kafka will be a huge plus, since we saw she can detonate those stacks, but if you don't have her, E4 Sampo could do this as well, but it's much less reliable and less powerful, if I'm being honest here. Truth is, from the looks of it, the best team to utilize Black Swan is most likely going to be a core that contains Ron May and Kafka. I know. 2 limited 5-star units is a lot, but going with someone like Gunaifin or Sampo could be a decent approach as well. But the point is, she will most likely require some premium units to achieve full potential. However, I am most likely going to release a video guide that talks about all of this. And I know, this might sound weird coming from me since I have taken a bit of a break from this game, but I am going to try and provide you guys with some Honkai Star Rail content. Now, when it comes to the 2.0 banners, it's really an interesting situation to say the least. First of all, we have Imbibitor Lune and Black Swan, as well as Misha, Tingyun, and Gunaifin in the first phase. And if that's not enough, the Light Cone banner contains 2 amazing 4-star Light Cones, Dance 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 and Pearls of Sweat. Honestly, while the character banners are fine, I haven't really seen such a stacked 4-star Light Cone banner. So if you want to snag either Black Swan's or Dan Heng's signature LCs, this is a nice banner to go for. But when looking at Phase 2 banners, it's a bit of a different situation. Here, Sparkle along with Jingyuan are featured together with Sampo, QQ, and Hanya, while the Light Cone banners look fine. That's as much as I'm willing to say. I mean, look, the Light Cones here wane compared to Sparkle's featured banner. If you don't have Eidolons unlocked for QQ, pulling Sparkle and hopefully getting QQ with Eidolons is huge, since they're both going to work really well, considering how much of a good unit QQ really is, especially when you start getting those Eidolons. But I do feel like putting Imbibitor Lune in the first phase might make some of you feel pressured to pull for him and then Sparkle afterwards, since they are going to work so well together. Honestly, just don't succumb to the pressure, only pull when you want to, and if this means spending money, only when you can afford to, so it doesn't impact your actual life. And yes, Sparkle is probably going to be the biggest highlight of a 2.0 update when it comes to the featured banners. But at the same time, we have seen so many new cool characters in the pipeline, like the Raiden Shogun lookalike that's been all over the social media. Point is, focus on just playing the game at your own pace and discover some cool stuff at Penacony. Oh, and I forgot about Misha. Yeah, he seems like a funny unit, and based on the info I've gathered from the livestream footage, he will be able to unleash a stronger ultimate the more skill points your team uses. So he might work great with Sparkle as well, although he is featured in Phase 1 and has barely any synergy with either of the featured 5 stars. So don't pull for him if you don't want to get spooked by the Swan or Danny. This is the classic trap of trying to pull for a 4-star and then accidentally getting a 5-star. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful, and I'd really appreciate it if you could press the like button, share the video with others, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.